Hey guys, we're well today. So for today's video, we will be doing the Autumn Nations team of the series. And with us today, we do have the Kiwi Lads. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you, mate. Although I am a little bit sad due to the fact that the international rugby competitions and everything along those lines, they've come to an end for this year. But the good news is we are still going to have them firing up next year. Six Nations, only a couple months away. I'm very excited when that one does kick off.
Yeah, that's gonna be very exciting, as well as Super Rugby as well in that period. So yeah, should be good. Should be good. Before we start this video, guys, I just want to quickly, guys, show you guys the pictures I had across the day I went to see South Africa versus England. So here are the pictures, just right here, just for you guys to see. Just what you guys would like to see, a collection of the photos. But nonetheless, there you go, guys. There you go. Here's the pictures done. But let's get straight into this video. So of course, Hamish, who have you started within your front row for this Autumn Nations team of this series?
Alrighty, so I've got quite a bit of Irish coming through for my front row here. I have gone number 1, Andrew Porter. Number 2, I have gone Pieto Malvaka. And then number 3, I have gone Tyg Furlong.
Interesting. Well, why have you gone with a 2 Irish combination? Just I want to know why.
I think that overall, like Ireland, they were definitely the team that I guess you could say stood out the most throughout this whole competition. Like the way that they played, I keep on calling it a competition, which in a way it was North versus South. We love to see it when we do get to see that rivalry. But like the fact that from their base, it was just a very solid scrum. And that kind of opened up the opportunity. I'll be honest, you're going to see a lot of Irish names coming through the rest of my team as well. But yeah, overall, I felt that they were very solid in their own individual jobs. Like, I mean, Andrew Porter and also Tyg Furlong both play for Leinster, and they are doing very nicely in the URC. I'm looking forward to seeing that start back up this weekend. And yeah, I think they're going to be able to run rampage in that competition as well.
Yeah, I mean, I have to agree with you. I mean, like I've gone with 2 out of the 3 players you've gone with there. So I have also gone with the likes of Andrew Porter, number 1, as well as Malvaka at number 2 for France. I thought he was brilliant, by the way, for France, and obviously scored 2 tries against the All Blacks in that last game. But for number 3, actually, I've gone with Trevor Nkanye for the Springboks. I just believe the Springboks deserved 1 prop, I think, within the starting 15, because it's one of those where Nkanye, for me, I think stood out the most because he won the most penalties, in my opinion, for for the scrum as well as the breakdown. So I was really impressed by him overall. I felt like he's kind of stepping up his game. Obviously, I mean, we've all known him, of course, through the Rugby World Cup, but I believe he's kind of certified that position now as kind of his starting position now. So I mean, yeah, just props to him. He's done very well. But I might spend exactly. But I might have to get into the Irish, other prop within my bench. We'll wait and see. But of course, the locks. I'll start off with the locks for who I've gone with the starting 15. I've gone with Evan Edmith at number 4. I believe he's kind of a standout lock in my opinion. I think throughout this Autumn Nation series, he was just in incredible form, at least. I think probably I arguably say he was in better form now than what I saw within the Rugby World Cup. Like he was literally all about him. So yeah, he really did well in that position. And of course, the number 5 position, I've gone with Flamant from France. I believe he had a very I'm not going to say a standout competition, but he stood out within particular games. I mean, particularly against Argentina, obviously getting his debut try. So I think, and he has a great story behind him as well. Like, have you heard his story? Like he's gone like he went from Loughborough, like he was playing for like Loughborough and all that, and like I think it was a matter of like a week or something like that. He played for France, and just like from there it's just incredible like, for what he did. So even credit to him. He's kind of really stood out, I'd say, for the French team. He's kind of making a name for himself. I mean, we do have the likes of like Tafloena, I believe, in my opinion, is up there as one of the better locks, I say, for France. But he's kind of pushing it for France. So have to give credit to him. But of course, who have you gone with within these 2 positions?
Right, so I have gone with Evan Edmith as my number 4. He just seemed to have a new fire lit under him for this competition. Like every time he ran forward, I called it a competition again, but he just kept on going. And I believe that game, I think it was the second last week, where he had more carries than I think I have seen him have in a very long time. Every time he would just be like, you know what? I'm going to hit this one up at the line, playing the physical game that he certainly can. Number 5, I was struggling a little bit to decide who I did want to have as my starting 5. I did go Johnny Hill in the end, but I've got, in brackets, I've got the Maro Toge option there as well. If you wanted to transition to my 5 to go alongside Edmith, because we know that those 2 have a little bit of a rival past between them as well from the British and Irish Lions tour. But I did decide that England overall for their line out, I felt it was very solid. And through that, I had to give credit to not just Johnny Hill, but also to Mara Doge as well.
Yeah, fair enough, fair enough. And by the way, for Evan Nesmith, I was laughing so hard when he kind of like broke through the English defense. Like he had that like moment within that England game where he was just running. He was like, I'm actually in this situation where I'm actually like going for it. And then he tried to look. Of course, it's Evan Nesmith. He's never had an actual opportunity where he's had to pass it. So he kind of fumbled it, but I just found that hilarious. But overall, he had a good game, and I do agree with you that the English locks were impressive throughout the whole tournament. But of course, for the loose forwards, for myself, actually, no, we'll go with you first within this position. Who have you gone with for the loose forwards?
Okay, so loose forwards for me, like there were so many standouts throughout this whole series for not just like the sides that I have gone with here, but also like there were probably about 6 honourable mentions I could have been having for these positions. But I have gone number 6, Courtney Laws. Number 7, I gave it to Tane Basham. Felt he did very well for Wales. And then number 8, I have gone Caelan Doris as my number 8 option, even though he did actually play a little bit of 6 earlier on. And same could be said for Basham. He played 8. So these guys are all rotating through those loose forward jerseys, but they all just played extremely well. Tane Basham was one of the standouts in that game up against the All Blacks. Courtney Laws, given it his 110%, also captaining the side for a little bit of this series as well. And then Caelan Doris, standout player for Ireland when it comes to that loose forward trio, which is hard to do when Ireland are playing as well as they are. But yeah, he was absolutely phenomenal, Caelan Doris. So I decided he is getting my number 8 jersey.
Yeah, fair enough. And yeah, for that, I totally agree. I mean, I've gone with the exact same players in the exact same positions. I mean, like you said, they are interchangeable in the way that they can obviously fit within the 6, 7, 8 spot if they were needed. But I do believe like just every player for the team really stood out with that loose forward pack. I mean, Courtney Laws I thought was brilliant. I mean, I've always had kind of like I'm not going to say a negative comment about him, but I've always just thought England don't need the likes of Courtney Laws with that position. But man, he proved me wrong, and he was just unbelievable throughout this All Nation series. So yeah, credit to him. And of course with Basham, I mean, like you said, against that game against New Zealand, he's the standout player really. I mean, he did he win man of the match in that game? I don't think he could have, because I think Bowden was just too good in that game. But if there was a kind of a losing man of the match, like for the losing team, then I'd have to give it to to Basham. But yeah, I have to agree with Doris as well. I mean, Doris was just incredible for the Irish, and yeah, he really just stood out within that loose forward pack in particular. But of course, we'll now move on towards the back line. Of course, for this All Nations team in the series, for the 9-10 position, I've gone with the likes of Antoine Dupont, number 9, and I've gone with the likes of Marcus Smith at number 10. Of course, both of these players really stood out, I think, for both their sides. I mean, you can't really argue. I think the likes of Dupont, I mean, he's just been incredible. I mean, throughout this whole year, and arguably is going to be up there for Player of the Year for this year, of course, with the awards coming up soon. But I mean, yeah, he was just incredible throughout all the games. I mean, particularly that game against New Zealand. I mean, you could just tell the way he kind of controlled that game, and we all loved it because it was Dupont versus Smith, and I think he won that battle at the end of the day. So yeah, have to give him credit. And of course, Marcus Smith. I mean, yeah, just wow, just he's an incredible player, really up and coming. He's really showing just his potential, really, in what he can actually bring towards his English side. So for that reason, I have to give him obviously that number 10 position. But so who have you gone with within these two positions?
Right, so I have got Antoine Dupont as my number 9 also, but I decided number 10 to throw in the name Romain Intermac as an option there, as he has been playing some very good rugby recently. Marcus Smith, he's my man who I did have in brackets right next to him with how well he has been playing, but I decided Intermac, and that run that he made when he was inside of his own in goal for that game up against the All Blacks, and it's just that whole side of it of when you've got a young player with so much confidence, and I guess you could say confidence behind his own ability to go, even though we're in just a dire position here of being pretty much in our own goal, we'll just run it pretty much the full length of the field and get us back on the attack. And that is something that, like, as a young player, if you keep that up, you're definitely going to have a bright future. And that is for sure. But yeah, we will have to wait and see whether or not he does have a informed Six Nations alongside his boy with him, Antoine Dupont. Yeah,
he was incredible. I mean, that he could have literally just chosen just put it down on the try line, but he was like, no, you know what, screw that. I'm gonna go for it. And he just it kind of reminded me of like what like Bowden kind of did within the past, or even he just you like to kind of like make that ambitious kind of play and like, you know what, just go for it. And I mean, man, that worked out. I mean, that pass to like I believe it was like Jalabert, and then it was unbelievable. But yeah, of course, with the centers, who have you gone with the starting lineup?
Okay, so my centers, My number 13, I'm not so solid on, but number 12, I have gone Damien Diolinda, and he is certainly a solid individual when you look at him. Very good throughout this competition. Keep on calling it a competition. Tell you what, it is a competition now.
It is a competition.
I'm calling it a competition. From now on, it is a competition. But number 13, I went Henry Slade, and that is not for the kicking off the tee, because he really did struggle off the tee. But when he was avoiding that tee, he was actually playing very well in that midfield. I thought overall Henry Slade, but also Rico Ioane was another one that was definitely right up there for me, the way that he played in that game up against France. And I assume more than likely that is exactly who you have got there.
Well, I originally had Rego in, but I was like, Tim, hold on a second. Like, he played well within one of the 3 games. He didn't obviously start within the last 2. Like, he started within the Welsh game, but obviously was the 11. But he didn't actually play within the Italy game. So I wanted to actually put him in, but I just kind of reminded myself, like, look, like, I believe Henry Slade, like you said, as well as and the player I've gone with, Gary Ringrose, was actually the 2 standout players, I believe, in that position. So for that reason, for the number 12 position, of course, I think I go for the likes of Damien Diolinda. I mean, there's really nothing much more I can really say about him. He was just sensational, really, with the amount of offloads he made throughout the whole tournament. But I mean, Gary Ringrose, though, I thought he was very underrated for what he did, obviously, for Ireland. I mean, he came in clutch, I mean, a lot of times, actually, and was like partly why the Irish actually did so well from that back line and actually scored a lot of tries. I mean, against the Japanese, the Argentinians, and then, of course, against the All Blacks. So, yeah, fair play to Garrett Ringrose. He really stood out for me, and this is, I mean, arguably I think that was his best, 3 games. I mean, by consistency point of view, I've seen from him. So, yeah, really credit to him. But of course, for the wingers, we'll move on. Of course, for the wingers for this side, I mean, for myself, I've gone with the likes of Makazolio and Pimpy, of course, from number 11 position for South Africa, and for the number 14 position, I've gone with the likes of Damien Diolinda, which I don't believe a lot of people will argue that too. I mean, there is probably one name in the conversation who, I mean, we like to go with a lot. You could say within our videos on your channel, which is Will Jordan, who I do believe deserves a lot of credit, obviously, with the amount of tries he has scored for the All Blacks. But I do believe these 2 players really stood out, I think, throughout this Autumn Nations. I mean, Mapimpi was just incredible, really, for the Springboks. I mean, he scored with 2 tries, I believe. Well, he scored 1 try, I believe, against the. Did he score 1 try against No, the only try against Welsh was Malcolm Marks. He scored 2 tries against the Scottish, and I believe 1 try against the English. So, yeah, for that reason, I had to include him. And of course, Panon, I mean, he was just. Woof. I mean, that intercept try he got against the All Blacks was just sensational. So, yeah, I had to include him in. And, yeah, he's just a really bright player for the future. But, of course, who have you gone with in these 2 positions?
Okay, so we have got 2 changes here.
Now, whoa, what?
Yep.
No.
I decided there is reasoning behind it, and you will see it a little bit later on. But I decided number 11 to give a big honourable mention here and give him the position.
I know
it is James Lowe. I have decided.
Oh, okay, interesting. For some reason, I thought you knew with Duhan van der Merwe. I was like, I'm going to include a Scottish name within the team now. But James Lowe, yeah. No, tell us why you think he's been on your radar.
Well, I decided. Getting into this series, a lot of people were always saying James Lowe, like he's not that great, like he's not a threat, like get rid of him out on the wing. But I felt overall in the games that we did see, he was very impressive. Like that game up against the All Blacks, defensively sound throughout the whole lot. Incredible. And also in that game up against Japan, did end up having a very good game as well. So I decided he needs some sort of credit, even though maybe I've got someone else on the bench that I might have had in the starting lineup instead. But, I just decided, James, give the man credit where credit is due, and he had a pretty good series overall. Number 14, you said that we like to mention him quite a bit. The man who wears that kit that you're wearing at the moment, and I might have just gone and put him there in the number 14 jersey. Will Jordan is my number 14. That chip and chase that he did do up against Wales, I feel like, is still engraved in my mind. So because of that, I decided that he deserves it as a option as that number 14.
Yeah, fair enough. Of course, the last position, obviously, with the starting lineup with the number 15, I believe we've both gone with the same player. 100%. I mean, there's no kind of arguing who should be the number 15. And of course, that's Freddie Stewart, obviously, for England. I believe he was the standout 15. I mean, of course, he won I believe 2 man of the matches, I think, within the whole out of the 3 games against obviously Australia and the Springboks. So, yeah, credit to him. I mean, he's 20 years old. Like, he's like, I'm just scared of that. Like, as a Springboks fan, I'm just like, like crap. he's 20 years old. Like, he's so much more he can actually bring, and obviously he can improve so much more to what he obviously has shown already. So, Yeah, that's kind of a scary thought to think. And yeah, so not excited from a Southern Hemisphere point of view, but man, for England, you have a heck of a player in that position, which is obviously good for them. But yeah, he was just standout, and you really just can't argue the fact that he was just incredible throughout both, all three of the games in particular. But so what do you? I mean, I'm guessing you've gone with him as well. Like, what do you think about him?
I have indeed. I decided, like, at the end of the day, I would almost argue he's probably, if we were to pick one player of the
I agree.
series,
Yeah.
I would say
Player of the series, hands down.
definitely back, if not the whole side. Because I feel like a couple other players maybe it's hard to say for that full pack.
If you were to say like player of the backs, then hands down Stewart. I'd say for the forwards, in my opinion, I'd give it to Doris for Ireland. I think he's probably the one I would say. But if you're going to say who was the better player, who made more of an impact for the team, I would have to give it to Freddie Stewart, just because I think there was more Irish players who stood out within their team than what I believe for England. So for that reason, I think he made more of an impact for their team. So, but he was just sensational. But I never thought of that actually. Yeah, player of the series. Yeah, he definitely deserves it. But anyway, moving of course now towards the bench guys, because I felt we needed to include a bench in this, because I feel like this is kind of where we throw kind of our honorable mentions, obviously, for who we didn't obviously start with in our starting lineup. So of course we'll start with you within those positions. So who have you gone with for the number 16, 17, and 18 position?
Alrighty, so number 16, I don't think it's going to be probably argued too much, but Mr. Impact Man, Malcolm Marx, he is going to be my number 16 that I have decided to go with. Extremely solid, and the reason they have him off the bench is just because of that insane impact that he can create in such a short amount of time. Stephen Kitsoff, I have got slashed with Oxnard, because I'm trying to fit them both into the same jersey, but it would be a very tight squeeze with those two individuals. But I felt like I needed to give credit to one of the loose head props for the Springboks. So I'll probably say Oxnard just edges it, but then because it was 17, I was like, Kitsoff does normally wear that jersey for the Springboks. Then number 18, I have actually got who you had in your starting lineup for Trevor Nakanye.
Of course,
I've decided to give him my bench spot in this one, but that is the front row that I have gone with the replacements. So it's the bomb squad, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, it's the bomb squad, essentially. Yeah. Man, they were just incredible throughout the whole tournament. But of course, same as you, I had to go with the likes of Malcolm Marx that started off. I mean, he was just incredible. I mean, he, like I said, is the best impact player in the world, guys. I've said that countless times already, but he just proved it once again throughout this kind of competition, to say the least. So insane, really, to say. I mean, that try against Wales, I was just like, it's just a great feeling. Like, come on, Malcolm Marx. But of course, with the number 17 and 18 position, I've gone with the likes of Skoman from Scotland. I believe he was a standout, I believe, for the Scottish from that front row. I mean, obviously, he's come back. I believe he kind of made his debut, I believe, for Scotland within this actual competition. So for that reason, I had to give him kind of a shout out, because I do believe he kind of stood out for the Scottish. So obviously, I do believe I believe is the best 16 throughout these 3 games. But like you said beforehand, for the number 17, I've gone with the player you went with in your starting lineup, and I've gone with Tad Furlong for the number 17 position. So 18 position, sorry. But I believe he was just, I mean, what can you say? I mean, he was incredible. He has a ton of experience, and he just proved it once again why the Irish front row in particular is just, they're looking like a force to be reckoned with. But of course, moving on, of course, towards the lock as well as loose forwards, you could say, or just one loose forward, unless you've gone with a 6-2 split. We'll have to wait and see. But of course, I'll start it off with the number 19 position. I've gone with the likes of Maro Itoje here for England. It was one of those, like you said beforehand, you could either choose really Johnny Hill or Maro Itoje, but I've gone with Maro just because I think he was more consistent throughout all 3 games, whereas Johnny Hill was more just kind of like he was kind of you could say he was a one game, he just stood out. So for that reason, I have to go with like Maro Itoje. But of course, with the number 20 position, this might, I'm not going to say shock a few people, because I could have gone with the likes of, you could say, Artis Sevilla maybe for the All Blacks, because I thought he had a pretty good tournament. But I just feel like Josh Van der Veer for the Irish was just incredible. I had to kind of mention him because I think obviously the applaud will actually more of the, you can say, praise to say the least, will go obviously towards Doris for the Irish. But I just thought Josh Van der Veer was just like, he was wow. So I had to give him that, kind of give him a mention obviously within that bench. But so have you gone within those 2 positions?
Okay, so number 19, I have got Cameron Walkie. I decided to let him have that bench spot. Just plays very well, and also as a tackler machine for France when he does need to be. And line-out steals as well. He is getting very, very good at that. That is for sure. He can also play loose forward, which just means that he just adds.
He's a full package. Yeah.
Exactly right. He just can play anywhere. Like he'd probably go around right out on the wing if you decided that you did need him out there for that one. But number 20, I have also got Josh Van den Fleur as a mention.
Ooh, okay.
But I decided because I wanted to include. It's like someone from quite a few teams.
Yeah,
I've actually given it to Michael Hooper here.
I like that. Yeah, fair enough.
So I feel he was pretty unlucky not to score himself that try in the game. The second try that was second match. Sorry, I should say. Yeah. So I decided to put him there. It's a shame that he's got injured now. But Josh Van den Fleur, he scored 2 tries in the last match up against Argentina just yesterday. So definitely fresh on the mind and definitely would be fresh off the bench at the later stages of a game if you needed him to be.
No, he was incredible. So, but yeah, I do agree with Michael Hooper though. He was just incredible for what it was, and obviously he's another player who's also been voted for World Player of the Year. So, yeah, he definitely deserved a shout out. You could say this obviously for this team of the tournament. But of course, number 21, 22, and 23 positions. Who have you gone with in these 3 positions?
Alrighty, so number 21, I ended up giving it to Jamison Gibson Park. I decided that he was the man who I go with as my replacement. Number 9. Now, number 22. This is probably a little bit interesting. I actually ended up putting Stuart Hogg as my number 22.
Whoa, okay.
And you might be confused. No,
but it makes sense because I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I know who your next player is, but okay.
Yeah, so I decided that I had to put him somewhere. Like, he's now the leading try scorer for Scotland and also 2 tries in that game up against the Springboks. Incredibly impressive. And then he went out the next week and scored another one for himself. So I decided had to be somewhere in there. Marcus Smith also was extremely close to being there for myself. But then number 23, I have gone with Makazole Mapimpi.
Perfect.
As my number 23.
That's all I wanted out of this day.
And you'll be glad to know, believe it or not, I have got the slash as the honourable mention. Damien Diolinda is actually the other one. So I had both of you guys who were starting as my honourable mentions on the bench, but Makazole Mapimpi, I'm giving him that one. He's got to be somewhere. But I decided I got to give James Lowe just that little bit of the shining spotlight in the number 11 jersey for the start. But Makazole Mapimpi off the bench doesn't get much better than that.
No, it doesn't. It really doesn't. I mean, I have a similar kind of, like, you could say, free from what you've gone with there, like the likes of Gibson Park, number 9. I thought he was he was just a standout number 9, I think, for the Irish throughout this whole tournament. But I want to give an honorable mention towards Nick White as well for the Wallabies. I mean, that try-saving tackle against the English, I believe, that is probably, in my opinion, still the moment that comes to the mind as the best moment, I'd say, because it's just the way that he, like, you didn't actually see him at first, but then he just came around. He's like, whoop. Got the ball. It was just brilliant. But yeah, he definitely deserves an honorable mention. But of course, number 22 position, I got the likes of Roman Ntamack. I believe he definitely deserves a shout. Obviously, I didn't include him within my starting lineup. So, I mean, yeah, he was just incredible. And I mean, like we said beforehand, that kind of like, kind of ambitious play he did obviously against the All Blacks was just incredible. So, had to obviously give him a kind of a shout out in that sense, obviously through the bench. But yeah, but the last player, like you said, Stuart Hogg with the number 23 position. I do believe he was just, sensational to say the least. I mean, obviously he broke the record for most tries for Scotland, and yeah, you had to include him. He was just incredible to say the least. But what a team we've obviously both credited there. I mean, I think probably we don't have a few. I'd say we have a few differences, but overall we do agree with most of what we've gone with. But like you said beforehand, we do both agree that the player of the series is probably Freddie Stewart. But if you're going to obviously separate it from backs to forwards, do you agree that it's Doris and Stewart, or do you think it's someone else?
Caelan Doris was the man who came to mind, and he was the only one that was kind of stopping me from giving Stewart like the complete player one. But I think he would still get at Stewart in the end if they were to try and decide who it would be. But there were a lot of players for the individual sides who were able to stand out throughout the series, and that is why I'm excited to see if they do this next year. If they do, I will well and truly be watching every single game, like I did for this one as well.
Of course, yeah. I mean, for Six Nations will be incredible, to say the least. But of course, that's obviously the end of this video, guys. Just thank you so much, obviously, for watching, guys. Definitely like this video, guys, and subscribe to the channel. But more or less, also subscribe to the Kiwi Lads here. He has great content, of course. And yeah, you'll see him weekly, of course, throughout this, for the Six Nations, as well as, Super Rugby, and of course, for top 14, I believe, at the moment in Premiership, if I'm not mistaken.
Indeed, and the URC Coming back
Yours,
very
of
soon
course,
as well.
yeah, of course, yeah. But nonetheless, thank you guys obviously for watching, and yeah, talk to you guys soon.